All right, let's unpack this whole world of perfume.
It's really fascinating,
Yeah.
Most people, I think, just think about the nice smells, but
Right.
there's really so much going on. Perfume creation is this amazing intersection of both like scientific precision
Oh, wow.
and artistic expression.
So it's not just, like mixing nice smells together.
Exactly. It's not just mixing a bunch of pretty smells. You're dealing with like molecular structures and
Yeah.
how those interact to create a very specific aroma profile.
Okay, so let's break that down a little bit. Where do we even start with something like that?
Well, let's start with the building blocks. Essential oils.
Okay.
These are concentrated extracts from plants. They've been a cornerstone of perfumery for centuries.
Ah,
I mean, think about it. They're nature's complex bouquets.
I see.
Each of them has its own unique aroma fingerprint.
Oh, so it's not just one single smell in an essential oil. It's a whole bunch of different molecules creating the final scent.
Exactly. It's not just one molecule, it's many. Like, if you think about lavender essential oil, it's not just one lavender molecule. It's a mix of things like linalool and linyl acetate,
Okay.
and a whole host of other volatile compounds, all of which are contributing to that calming aroma we associate with lavender.
I never realized it was that complex. But what about those perfumes that don't smell like anything that I can find in nature?
Oh, that's a great question. That's where synthetic aroma compounds come into play.
Okay.
They've really revolutionized the perfume industry because they offer consistency, and they also offer the ability to create completely new scents that don't exist in nature.
Consistency, you mean like a rose wouldn't always smell the same?
Yeah, exactly. So natural ingredients can vary in quality depending on growing conditions, the weather, even the time of the harvest.
Mm-hmm.
All of that can change it.
I see.
And so synthetic compounds allow perfumers to create a reliable fragrance no matter what batch it is.
Okay.
Plus, like I said, it opens up a whole new world of creative possibilities.
Now that's where it gets really interesting. So we've got these essential oils and we've got these synthetics. But how do they all come together to create a perfume that, it evolves on your skin over time?
Ah, you've hit on a key point. It's all about molecular interactions and evaporation. So as a perfume interacts with your skin's chemistry and the molecules evaporate.
Wait a minute, hold on. Are you saying my skin can actually change the way a perfume smells?
Absolutely. Your skin has its own unique chemistry, and that can influence how a fragrance unfolds. So that's why the same perfume can smell slightly different on different people.
Oh, wow.
And then there's the whole evaporation process, which is really important in understanding these terms you hear all the time. Top notes, middle notes, and base notes.
Yeah, I've heard those terms before, but I've never really understood what they mean.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
So what do they mean?
Think of it like this. Think of a fragrance as a symphony. The top notes are the first impression.
Oh.
Those bright, fleeting scents you smell right away. They're usually made up of lighter molecules that evaporate very quickly, like citrus or fruity notes.
So like that initial burst of freshness that you get when you first spray it on.
Exactly. And then as those top notes fade, the middle notes emerge, which is kind of the heart of the fragrance. These are usually floral, spicy, or woody scents. And they linger longer because their molecules evaporate at a slower rate.
Then finally we have the base notes, which are like those deep, rich scents that stay with you for hours.
Precisely. The base notes are made up of the heaviest molecules, things like musk, amber, or vanilla. And they really ground the fragrance and give it that lasting power.
Wow. I never realized that so much complexity went into creating something that evolves over time like that. It's almost like telling a story with a scent.
It is. It really is.
But how do scientists even begin to study something like that? I
Uh,
mean, our sense of smell is so elusive.
That's where some incredible advances in analysis come in. Scientists are using techniques like gas chromatography, mass spectrometry to separate and identify the individual molecules that make up a fragrance. And then they're using tools like cryo-electron microscopy to actually visualize the structure of the olfactory receptors in our noses.
Hold on. So we're literally getting a closer look at how our noses work on a molecular level.
Exactly. And by understanding those interactions between the molecules and the receptors, we're starting to be able to decode the language of scent. We're learning how specific molecules trigger those amazing olfactory experiences. It's really amazing to see how art and science intertwine in this field.
This is blowing my mind.
It is fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, so next time I spritz on a perfume, I'm going to be thinking about all the complex chemistry happening, both in the bottle and in my own nose.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it?
It is. So that's essential oils and synthetics, but there's got to be more to it, right?
Oh, there's so much more.
What else can you tell me about these Fascinating molecules and how they're changing the way we experience fragrance.
Well, let's talk about some of the challenges perfumers face when they're working with natural ingredients.
Okay.
Because while essential oils offer this beautiful complexity,
Hmm.
their composition can be incredibly variable.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Even a slight change in the growing conditions or the extraction methods
Oh.
can significantly alter the final aroma.
So it's not as simple as just like picking a flower and extracting its scent.
Not at all. Take rose oil, for example, a classic ingredient in perfumery. It can vary drastically depending on, the species of rose, the climate it was grown in, and even the time of day the flowers were harvested.
Wow. So there are a lot of factors that can influence the quality and consistency of these natural ingredients.
Precisely. And that's where those synthetic compounds offer a really distinct advantage.
Okay.
Because by creating aroma molecules in the lab,
Hmm.
perfumers can ensure consistency and reliability in their creations.
So it's much more controlled.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about control and predictability. Take vanillin, for example.
That's the molecule that gives vanilla its characteristic aroma.
Right, exactly. But natural vanilla extract is expensive, and again, its quality can vary quite a bit depending on the beans and the extraction process.
Yeah.
Synthetic vanillin, on the other hand, offers a very consistent and affordable alternative.
Okay.
And that's why it's become a staple in so many perfumes and flavorings.
So sometimes synthetics can actually be a more sustainable option.
In some cases, yes. Absolutely. Especially when sourcing those natural ingredients might involve things like deforestation or the exploitation of workers, a lot of ethical concerns.
Right.
But it's not just about sustainability. These synthetic compounds also allow perfumers to really push the boundaries of creativity, crafting entirely new scents that wouldn't exist in nature.
So you're saying we can get smells that we've never even smelled before
Exactly.
because they're created in the lab.
That's right.
So synthetics have their place. But I'm sure there are still perfumers out there that really value those unique complexities of natural ingredients.
Oh, absolutely. There's always going to be that tension between natural and synthetic. Many perfumers see both natural and synthetic compounds as valuable tools. It's all about finding the right balance between the artistry of nature and the precision of science.
I love the artistry of nature and the precision of science.
Yeah, it's a delicate dance, isn't it?
It really is. This is so fascinating. I had no idea there was so much depth to perfume creation.
Oh, yeah. It's really an amazing world.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the ingredients and how they interact, but tell me a little bit more about the science that's shaping, like, the future of fragrance. What's cutting edge right now?
Well, let's talk about headspace technology.
Headspace. I've never heard of that.
It's a technique that's really revolutionizing the way we capture and recreate natural scents.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So imagine you want to capture the scent of a very delicate flower that you just can't extract oil from. Headspace technology allows perfumers to do exactly that.
Wow.
It essentially captures the aroma clouds surrounding the object, whether it's a flower, a piece of fruit,
Yeah.
anything really.
So you're capturing the essence of a scent without even having to touch it.
Exactly. So you use a special chamber to isolate those volatile compounds that are being released by the object.
Mm-hmm.
And then those compounds are analyzed and identified using techniques like gas chromatography.
Oh, okay. But how do you go from identifying those molecules to actually recreating the scent?
That's where the artistry of perfumery comes in. So perfumers will use the information from that headspace analysis to create a formula, and then they'll blend different aroma compounds in precise ratios
Okay.
to recreate the original scent as closely as possible.
It's like solving a scientific puzzle, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You're piecing together all those different molecules.
It is, and it's really amazing because this technology has opened up a whole new world of possibilities. Now you can capture and recreate scents that were once considered impossible, like the scent of rain on dry earth or the aroma of a freshly baked loaf of bread.
No, you're making me hungry. But that's incredible, though.
It is.
It's like you're bottling up those fleeting scents that evoke such strong emotions and memories.
Exactly, and that's what's so cool about headspace technology.
It's a game changer. So we've got these tools for capturing the scents, recreating them, but what about actually understanding how our brains perceive them? What's happening on a neurological level when we smell something?
Well, when you inhale a fragrance, those aroma molecules travel up your nasal passages
Hmm.
and they bind to olfactory receptors, which are located high up in your nose in a small patch of tissue.
So they're like tiny little antennas picking up the scent signals.
Exactly. And each receptor is specialized. It detects a specific type of aroma molecule.
Okay.
When a receptor is activated, it sends a signal to the olfactory bulb, which is located in the brain.
So the olfactory bulb, that's like the brain's scent processing center.
Precisely. And then from there, the olfactory bulb relays that signal to other parts of the brain,
Like where?
like the amygdala, which is involved in emotional responses, and the hippocampus, which is involved in memory.
Oh, are you saying that our sense of smell is directly linked to our emotions and memories?
Absolutely. And that's why certain scents can evoke such powerful feelings and memories. Think about the smell of freshly baked cookies transporting you back to your childhood,
Oh, yeah.
or the scent of a particular perfume reminding you of a loved one.
Wow, I never realized how deeply intertwined our sense of smell is with those emotional and memory centers. It's like fragrance has a direct line to our subconscious.
It's a fascinating connection, isn't it? And scientists are still trying to fully understand it.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Okay.
Okay, so we've talked about capturing and recreating scents, understanding how our noses work, and even that emotional impact. What else can you tell me about this incredible world of aroma alchemy?
Well, let's talk about the concept of fragrance families. It's a way of categorizing perfumes
Yeah, okay.
based on their dominant scent profiles.
Oh, fragrance families. I think I've seen those labels on perfume bottles before, but I never really understood what they meant.
Yeah, a lot of people don't, but they can be really helpful in navigating the vast world of fragrance. One of the most common families is floral.
Okay, that makes sense. It's flower scents.
Exactly. Features scents inspired by flowers. Think rose, jasmine, lily of the valley, all those beautiful florals.
Okay, that one seems pretty straightforward. What other families are there?
Well, there's Oriental, which features warm, spicy, and often sweet notes. Things like vanilla, amber, and musk.
Okay, so each family has its own characteristic scent profile.
Exactly. There's also woody, which features notes reminiscent of forests and woods, such as sandalwood, cedarwood, and patchouli. And then there's fresh, which includes scents that evoke a sense of cleanliness and invigoration, like citrus, aquatic notes, and green tea.
It's like grouping them based on their overall vibe,
Hmm.
or like their mood.
That's a great way to put it. And then there are families like Chypre, which combines citrus, floral, and woody notes,
Okay.
and Fougere, which features herbaceous, mossy, and woody accords.
Wow, there's so many different families. I see how understanding those categories would be helpful when you're trying to choose a perfume.
Absolutely. It can help you narrow down your options and find fragrances that really align with your preferences.
Yeah, this is so interesting. I'm starting to see the world of perfume in a whole new light, appreciating the nuances of scent and the artistry that goes into creating a captivating fragrance.
And it's a world that's constantly evolving,
Yeah?
with new fragrance families and trends emerging all the time.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What are some of those trends? What's hot in the world of perfume right now?
Well, one trend we're seeing is a shift towards more natural and sustainable fragrances. Consumers are becoming increasingly interested in perfumes that are made with ethically sourced ingredients and that have a minimal impact on the environment.
So it's not just about how the perfume smells. It's about the story behind it and the values it represents.
Exactly. It's about the whole package.
Okay, what else?
Well, there's also a growing interest in gender-neutral fragrances, which is really interesting.
Oh yeah, breaking away from those traditional masculine and feminine scents.
Exactly. So scents that anyone can wear and enjoy, regardless of gender.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Yeah, it's really cool. And we're also seeing a resurgence of classic fragrance families like Chypre and Fougere, but with a modern twist, incorporating innovative molecules and unexpected combinations.
Oh, interesting. So kind of putting a new spin on the classic.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, it sounds like the world of perfume is alive and well, constantly reinventing itself.
It truly is. It's really a testament to the creativity and ingenuity of these perfumers.
Yeah.
They're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible with scent.
This deep dive has been such an eye-opener.
Yeah.
I had no idea there was so much depth and complexity to the world of perfume.
Oh, there's so much more we could talk about.
I bet. Okay, I'm definitely eager to learn more. What else can you tell me about the science behind these captivating scents?
Well, let's talk about the fascinating phenomenon of olfactory adaptation.
Okay, what is that?
It basically explains why we sometimes stop noticing a scent after being exposed to it for a while.
Oh, so you're saying that our noses can get, like, Used to a scent.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a natural process that prevents our olfactory system from becoming overwhelmed.
Okay, but how does it work?
Well, when we're first exposed to a new scent, those aroma molecules bind to those olfactory receptors, and then it triggers a signal that's sent to the brain.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, as those receptors are constantly exposed to that same scent, they become less sensitive, and
Yeah.
the signal to the brain weakens.
So it's like our nose is saying, okay, we get it. You don't need to keep sending the same signal over and over.
Exactly. And that's why we often stop noticing the scent of our own perfume after a while, even though others can still smell it on us.
Oh, yeah, that's so true. I've totally experienced that.
Yeah.
So if our noses get used to a scent, doesn't that mean we're kind of missing out on some of the fragrance?
It can. And that's why perfumers often design fragrances with multiple layers of scent, like those top, middle, and base notes we talked about.
Yeah.
So as the top notes fade and the middle notes emerge, your olfactory system gets re-engaged. So you're experiencing different facets of the
Well,
fragrance.
it's like the perfume is telling a story, and this olfactory adaptation makes sure that we don't miss any of the plot twists.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, I like that. It's another example of how science and artistry are intertwined in the world of perfume.
It's a beautiful dance, isn't it?
It really is. So much thought goes into making these fragrances that are going to evolve on us and keep our senses engaged. This is fascinating. Okay, so we've got olfactory adaptation, but what else could you tell me? What other secrets are there behind these captivating scents?
Well, let's talk about the concept of sillage.
Sillage. I'm not familiar with that term.
So sillage refers to the trail of scent that a perfume leaves behind.
Okay.
It's that invisible aura of fragrance that surrounds a person. So
Okay.
it's creating a memorable olfactory impression.
Oh, so it's not just about how the perfume smells on my skin, it's about the scent that it projects into the air around me.
Exactly. Sillage is a really important aspect of a perfume's personality. Some fragrances have a very subtle sillage, creating an intimate, close to the skin aroma,
Hmm.
while others have a very bold, expansive sillage that can fill a room.
So it's like a fragrance can have its own volume control.
I love that analogy.
Like it can whisper or shout.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
And, the sillage of a perfume is influenced by several factors. Things like the concentration of aroma molecules, the volatility of those molecules, and even the wearer's body chemistry.
So if a perfume has a higher concentration of aroma molecules, does that mean it will have a stronger sillage?
Generally speaking, yes. And fragrances that have lighter, more volatile molecules tend to have a more expansive sillage because those molecules diffuse more readily into the air.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. But what about body chemistry? You
Yeah.
mentioned that. How does that play a role?
Well, our skin has its own unique pH and temperature,
Right.
which can influence how a fragrance interacts with our body and how it projects into the air.
So you're saying the same perfume can have a different sillage on different people.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And that's another factor that adds to the individuality of fragrance.
That's so cool. This is fascinating. Sillage is like an integral part of the whole experience of wearing a fragrance.
It really is. And it's something that perfumers carefully consider
Mhm.
when they're crafting a fragrance,
Yeah.
thinking about how they want that scent to interact with the wearer, but also the surrounding environment.
Okay, so I'm curious. How do you create a perfume with a specific sillage in mind?
Well, it all comes down to really understanding those aroma molecules, what their properties are, how they interact with our olfactory system and the surrounding environment. For example, molecules that are more volatile, like those found in citrus fruits, they tend to evaporate quickly, creating a burst of scent that diffuses readily into the air. So you get that stronger sillage.
So if a perfumer wants to create a fragrance with a more subtle sillage, they would use like heavier molecules that evaporate more slowly.
Exactly. So they might choose molecules like musk, amber, or sandalwood,
Okay.
which tend to linger closer to the skin, creating a more intimate aura of fragrance.
This is incredible. So perfumers are almost like molecular architects. They're designing these fragrances with such specific properties and effects.
I love that analogy. It really is. It's this fascinating blend of art and science where you're using that understanding of chemistry to create scents that evoke emotions, trigger memories, and even influence our perceptions of ourselves and others.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive has been a mind-expanding experience. I had no idea there was so much depth and complexity to the world of fragrance.
Oh, we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore and discover in the realm of aroma alchemy.
I bet. Okay, well, I'm officially hooked. I'm ready to dive even deeper into this world of fragrance. What else can you tell me about the science behind these captivating scents?
Well, let's talk about the intriguing world of pheromones.
Pheromones. Okay, I've heard that term before, but I'm not exactly sure what they are or how they work.
They're fascinating.
Yeah.
They're like invisible messengers. They convey information about an individual, things like their sex, their reproductive status, and even their emotional state.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like a secret language that we're not even aware of?
In a way, yes. And while the role of pheromones in human behavior is still being debated, there's growing evidence to suggest that they do play a role in things like attraction and social interactions.
Okay, so they're important. Can you give me some examples of pheromones and how they work?
Sure. One that's really been studied is androstenedione, a pheromone found in male sweat.
Hmm?
Research suggests that androstenedione can actually influence women's mood,
Real.
and even their perception of men's attractiveness.
Wow, so a chemical in sweat can actually make someone seem more attractive.
It's a possibility.
Wow.
There's also estratrainol, a pheromone that's found in female urine.
Okay.
Studies suggest that estratrainol can influence men's perception of women's attractiveness and even their sexual arousal.
Okay, this is getting really interesting. So pheromones are like invisible love potions.
Well, not quite. The effects of pheromones are often very subtle and complex, and they can be influenced by a lot of different things, like individual sensitivity and social context.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's not as simple as just spraying on a pheromone and instantly becoming irresistible.
No, unfortunately not. But it is fascinating to think about the role that these chemical signals might play in those subconscious interactions that we have with other people.
I see what you're saying. Fragrance can be so much more than just a pleasant smell. It can actually tap into our deepest instincts and influence our perceptions of ourselves and others.
It's a powerful force, isn't it?
It really is. And as we continue to learn more about how this all works, the science of olfaction and all the chemistry of attraction, I'm sure we're going to discover even more fascinating things about the world of fragrance and how it impacts our lives.
Oh, absolutely. There's still so much to be discovered.
Well, this deep dive has been a mind-expanding experience.
Yeah.
I had no idea there was so much depth and complexity to the world of fragrance.
And we've only just scratched the surface. There's still so much to explore and discover in the realm of aroma alchemy.
I can't wait. Okay, I'm ready to dive even deeper. What else can you tell me?
Well, let's delve into the fascinating world of aromacology.
Aromacology.
Yeah, it's the study of how scents can influence our mood, our emotions, and even our behavior.
Okay, that sounds fascinating. Tell me more.
So aromacology really explores the connection between our sense of smell and our limbic system.
Remind me, what's the limbic system?
The limbic system is the part of the brain that controls emotions and memories.
Okay.
So when we inhale a fragrance, those aroma molecules stimulate our olfactory receptors, and those receptors send signals to the limbic system.
So it's like fragrance has a direct line to our emotional control center.
Exactly.
Wow.
And those signals can trigger a cascade of physiological and psychological responses. They can influence our mood, our stress levels, and even our cognitive function.
Okay, this is really interesting. But how does it work in practice? Can you give me some specific examples of scents and their effects on our emotions?
Sure. Let's start with lavender. It's known for its calming and relaxing properties.
Okay.
Studies have shown that inhaling lavender essential oil can reduce anxiety, improve sleep quality, and even lower blood pressure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Lavender is often used in aromatherapy.
Exactly. It's great for relaxation and stress relief.
Yeah.
Then you have peppermint, which is known for its stimulating and invigorating effects. Research has shown that inhaling peppermint oil can improve alertness, enhance cognitive performance, and even reduce fatigue.
So peppermint is like a natural energy boost.
It can be. And then there's citrus, which is often associated with feelings of happiness and optimism. Studies have shown that citrus scents can uplift mood, reduce stress, and even improve immune function.
Wow, so fragrance can actually have a really positive impact on our physical and mental well-being.
Absolutely. And this is something that's been known and utilized for centuries in traditional medicine and aromatherapy practices all over the world.
Oh, wow, I never realized fragrance was such a powerful force. It's not just about smelling good.
Not at all. It's so much more than that.
Yeah, it can be a powerful tool for enhancing our mood, reducing stress, and even improving our health.
Exactly. And as we continue to explore this world of aromacology, I think we're likely to discover even more fascinating ways that scents can influence our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been such a mind-expanding experience. I had
Yeah.
no idea there was so much depth and complexity to the world of fragrance.
We're just getting started. There's still so much more to explore and discover in this amazing realm of aroma alchemy.
Okay, I'm ready. What else can you tell me?
Well, let's talk about the intriguing connection between fragrance and memory.
Oh yeah, fragrance and memory. I've definitely noticed how certain scents can trigger those vivid memories, but I've never really understood why that happens.
It's a fascinating phenomenon. So our olfactory bulb, which we talked about earlier, the part of the brain that processes scent, is located right next to the hippocampus,
Mm-hmm.
which is the area that's responsible for memory formation.
Oh, so those brain regions for smell and memory are practically neighbors.
Exactly. They're right next to each other.
Oh, wow.
And because they're so close, that allows for strong neural connections between the two,
I see.
meaning that scents can really easily trigger memories, especially those memories that have a strong emotional component.
Oh, so that's why, like when I smell a certain perfume, it might take me right back to a specific moment in time.
Exactly. When you smell that familiar scent, the olfactory bulb sends signals to the hippocampus,
Right.
which activates the neural pathways associated with that scent.
Mhm.
And that triggers a cascade of activity in the hippocampus, reactivating the memory associated with that scent.
It's like the scent acts as a key, unlocking a specific memory file in our brain.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It really is like that. And because scent is so closely tied to emotions, those memories are often very vivid and emotionally charged.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's why the smell of, like, freshly baked cookies might transport me back to my childhood, or a specific perfume might remind me of a loved one.
Exactly. And these memories aren't just fleeting impressions. Studies have shown that olfactory triggered memories are actually more emotionally intense and longer lasting
Right.
than memories that are triggered by other senses.
Wow. So scent is like a superpower when it comes to accessing our memories.
You could say that. It's a powerful tool. And it's something that perfumers and marketers have definitely recognized. They're using fragrance to evoke nostalgia, create a sense of connection, and even influence consumer behavior.
Oh, that's really interesting. It's like they're hacking into our brains through our noses.
You could say that.
I'm starting to see how fragrance can be so much more than just a pleasant smell.
It really is.
It can be a window into our past, a trigger for emotions, and even a shaper of our experiences.
It's truly a multifaceted phenomenon, isn't it?
It is. And as we continue to unravel the mysteries of olfaction and this connection between scent and memory, I'm sure we'll discover even more fascinating insights into the power of fragrance.
Oh, I have no doubt.
This deep dive has been such a mind-expanding experience. I had no idea there was so much depth and complexity to the world of fragrance.
And we've only just scratched the surface. There's still so much to explore and discover in the realm of aroma alchemy.
I can't wait to hear more. Ready to dive even deeper into this fascinating world of fragrance. What else can you tell me? What's next?
Well, let's talk about the intriguing concept of olfactory branding.
Olfactory branding. What is that?
It's using scent to create a unique and memorable identity for a brand or a product.
Wait, so you're saying that companies are using scent as a marketing tool?
Exactly.
Wow.
Just like a company might use a logo, a color scheme, or a jingle to create a recognizable brand identity,
Right.
they can also use a signature scent.
Okay, so how does that work in practice?
Well, think about walking into like a high-end hotel
Mm.
and being greeted by a very distinctive, luxurious aroma.
Oh, yeah.
That's olfactory branding in action.
Oh, I see.
So the hotel has very carefully selected a scent that embodies their brand values
Okay.
and creates a really memorable experience for their guests.
So it's about creating that immersive sensory experience
Right.
that really reinforces the brand's image.
Exactly. And it's not just limited to luxury brands either. Retail stores, coffee shops, even car manufacturers are using scent to enhance their brand identity.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
To create a welcoming atmosphere and even to influence customer behavior.
Wait, are you saying that scent can actually influence how we perceive a brand
Absolutely.
and whether or not we're likely to buy its products?
It can. Studies have shown that scent can evoke positive emotions, trigger memories, and even influence our purchasing decisions.
Wow. So a well-chosen scent can actually be a powerful marketing tool.
It's a very powerful tool. And olfactory branding is becoming increasingly sophisticated, with companies using scent diffusion systems to create these carefully curated olfactory landscapes that really enhance that customer experience.
It's like they're engineering our senses.
They are.
Wow, that's incredible. It's amazing how science and marketing are coming together like that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about how companies are using scent. But what about on an individual level? Is there anything like that going on?
Oh, absolutely. Let's talk about personalized fragrances.
Okay.
That's where science and technology are coming together to create scents that are tailored to our individual preferences and even our unique body chemistry.
Personalized fragrance. That sounds like something out of a science fiction novel.
It kind of is. It's a fascinating area that's really gaining traction.
So how is it even possible?
Well, with all the advances in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and fragrance chemistry,
Hmm.
we're now able to create these custom scents that are specifically designed for an individual's tastes
Wow.
and even their unique body chemistry.
So you're saying that we can have a perfume that's as unique as our fingerprint.
That's the goal. A lot of these personalized fragrance companies
Okay.
are using algorithms to analyze your scent preferences, your lifestyle, even your genetic data to create a fragrance that's perfectly tailored to you.
So it's not just about choosing a fragrance off the shelf anymore. It's about having something that's created specifically for you.
Exactly. Some companies even use technology that analyzes your skin's pH and its microbiome to create a fragrance that interacts perfectly with your unique body chemistry
Wow.
so that it smells its best on you.
It's like having a personal perfumer who understands your individual scent profile and is able to just create a fragrance that's truly your own.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's an exciting new development in the world of fragrance.
Absolutely.
It's just one example of how science and technology are pushing those boundaries of what's possible. And it allows us to really experience fragrance in a whole new way.
Okay, this deep dive has been like a mind-blowing experience for me.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah. I had no idea there was so much depth and complexity to the world of fragrance.
Oh, we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more we could talk about. There's still so much to explore and discover in the realm of aroma alchemy.
I can only imagine. Okay, I'm ready to keep going. What else can you tell me? What other amazing things are there about these captivating scents?
Well, let's talk about the relationship between fragrance and culture. So, how scent preferences and rituals have evolved throughout history
Okay.
and across different societies.
Oh, fragrance and culture. I like that. Tell me more.
Yeah, fragrance has been a really integral part of human culture for millennia,
Wow.
playing a huge role in our rituals, our traditions, and even our social hierarchies.
Right.
Like, think about ancient Egypt, for example. Fragrances were used in religious ceremonies as offerings to the gods,
Wow.
even in the embalming process.
Wow, so it's like a sacred thing. Fragrance was a big part of their spiritual beliefs.
Absolutely. And then in ancient Rome, fragrances were a symbol of status and wealth.
Okay.
And they had these very elaborate perfume rituals that were part of daily life, at least for the elite.
So fragrance wasn't just about smelling good, it was really about social standing and power dynamics as well.
Exactly. And these cultural associations with fragrance have just continued to evolve over time. In the Middle Ages, for instance, strong scents were used to mask body odor because, bathing wasn't exactly a common practice back then.
Oh, right.
So fragrance was both a luxury and a necessity in those times.
Yeah, depending on the situation.
Oh.
So interesting. As trade routes expanded, though, and new ingredients became available,
Right.
I imagine fragrance preferences would have changed, right?
It did. Things like spices, resins, and exotic flowers became highly sought after.
Of course. So that availability of new ingredients and the evolution of trade had a huge impact on the trends.
A huge impact. And even today, cultural influences continue to shape how we experience and perceive fragrance.
Can you give me some examples of how cultural differences influence those preferences?
Sure. So in some cultures, really strong, musky scents are considered very attractive,
Okay.
while in other cultures, people prefer those lighter floral scents.
So what might be considered seductive in one culture might be perceived as overpowering in another culture.
Exactly. And these cultural nuances are really important,
Yeah.
especially for perfumers who are creating fragrances for a global market.
Right, because they're trying to appeal to a lot of different people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is fascinating. So fragrance is like this complex tapestry. It's woven from science and artistry
Mhm.
and all these cultural influences.
It is. It's a testament to the power of scent to connect us to our past, to evoke emotions, and to shape our experiences in the world.
This deep dive has been so enlightening. I feel like I'm seeing fragrance in a whole new light now.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah. I'm appreciating the artistry, the science, and all the cultural significance behind it all.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is.
And we haven't even touched on the incredible innovations that are shaping the future of fragrance.
Okay, I'm definitely ready to hear about those. What's on the horizon? What's coming up in the world of aroma alchemy?
Well, one really exciting area is the development of what they're calling smart fragrances.
Smart fragrances.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are scents that can actually change and adapt over time.
Wow, that sounds futuristic. How does that even work?
Well, it involves microencapsulation technology,
Right.
where you have these tiny capsules
Hmm.
containing different fragrance molecules that are embedded in the perfume,
Okay.
and those capsules release their contents at different rates
Interesting.
so that the scent evolves over time.
So it's like having multiple perfumes in one bottle.
That's a great way to think about it. And some of these smart fragrances can even respond to changes in things like body temperature or the environment,
Or right.
releasing different scents depending on the conditions.
So you could have a perfume that smells like fresh and citrusy in the morning and then transforms into like a warm, sensual scent in the evening.
Exactly.
Wow, that's incredible. So fragrance is becoming interactive.
It is.
It's responding to our bodies and our surroundings.
It's a really fascinating development.
It is. Okay, so
Yeah.
we have these smart fragrances. What other innovations are we going to see in the future?
Well, there's also a growing interest in using biotechnology to create more sustainable and ethical fragrances.
Oh, biotechnology.
Yeah.
How does that apply to fragrance?
Well, scientists are using techniques like fermentation to create those fragrance molecules from renewable resources like
Yep.
plants and microorganisms.
So it's like brewing a perfume instead of extracting it.
I love that. That's a great analogy. And it really opens up this whole new world of possibilities.
Yeah.
It allows us to create scents that are both beautiful and sustainable.
I like that.
Yeah.
So science and sustainability coming together in this really incredible way. It's really inspiring. It seems like it's a very exciting time to be following the world of aroma alchemy.
It is.
Who knows what incredible discoveries and innovations lie ahead.
I can't wait to see.
Yeah. Well, one thing's for sure. Actually, this deep dive, I'm definitely going to be paying a lot more attention to the scents around me,
Hmm.
appreciating the artistry, the science, and the stories that they tell.
I think that's the beauty of fragrance, really.
Yeah.
It has this incredible power to evoke emotions, trigger those memories, and connect us to the world around us in a truly unique way.
It's a really amazing world, this whole world of aroma alchemy.
It is.
It makes you realize how much we take our sense of smell for granted.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's such an integral part of our lives. It shapes our perceptions, it influences our emotions, and it even connects us to our memories.
Right.
Yet, we often just don't even give it a second thought.
Well, after this deep dive, I'm definitely going to be more mindful of those scents around me.
They're good.
Yeah. But I'm curious, with all this incredible science and technology that's behind fragrance these days, is there still room for that traditional art of perfumery?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I'd say the science is actually enhancing the art of perfumery. Perfumers today, they have access to a wider palette of ingredients than ever before.
Okay.
And they have a much deeper understanding of how those ingredients interact.
So it's not about replacing the human nose with technology. It's about giving them more tools and more knowledge
Yeah.
to create their masterpieces.
Exactly. Think of it like a painter who suddenly has access to a whole new spectrum of colors.
Yeah. It opens up a whole world of creative possibilities.
Exactly.
That's a great analogy. I can see how that would be incredibly exciting for a perfumer. So how do they even begin to create a new fragrance? Is there some kind of formula that they follow?
Well, there's no one-size-fits-all formula,
Okay.
but there is definitely a process.
Okay.
It usually starts with an inspiration.
Okay.
So a story, a feeling, or even a memory that the perfumer wants to try and translate into scent.
So it's like, I don't know, composing a symphony or writing a novel.
Exactly.
They start with an idea and then they build on it. Okay, I like that. And then what?
From there, the perfumer will start experimenting with different aroma compounds, blending them in very precise ratios to try to create that desired effect. It's a lot of trial and error,
Oh, wow.
intuition,
Yeah.
and artistry.
Okay, so there's a lot of experimentation involved. But how do they know when they've achieved that right balance? Like the perfect blend of scents.
That's where the perfumer's trained nose and their creative vision really come into play.
Okay.
So they evaluate the fragrance at different stages of its development,
Okay.
making adjustments until they achieve the desired aroma profile, longevity, and sillage.
Wow. It's a very delicate dance between science and art.
It is.
Wow. Well, I have to say, after this deep dive, I have a whole new level of respect for the art and science of perfumery. It's amazing how something that's seemingly so simple, like a fragrance, can actually be so complex and multifaceted.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive.
It's been fun.
I feel like I've learned so much about the science, the artistry, the cultural significance of fragrance. But I have to ask, what is that one key takeaway that you want our listeners to remember from this conversation?
I think the most important thing to remember is that fragrance is more than just a pleasant smell. It's a powerful form of communication, a trigger for emotions and memories,
Mm-hmm.
and a force that can really shape our perceptions and experiences in really profound ways.
I love that. Fragrance is more than just a pleasant smell. Well said. And on that note, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this incredible deep dive into the world of aroma alchemy. We hope you've enjoyed this exploration.
I did. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we hope you'll continue to explore that fascinating world of scent. So until next time, keep your senses open and let that world of fragrance surprise and delight you.
It will.